All right, here we have one of our quarterfinals. First place finisher Tom Sonique on Teamer Cascade against Honor Bound on Mono Blue, Ancestral Vision, Mana Leak, Forbid, Spell Pierce, Tempest, Djinn, Vidalcan Shackles, I think. Stuff. No Stoic Sphinx in this version, I don't think. Although there is a mono blue in the top 8 with Stoic Sphinx, just not this deck. So Honor Bound sneaking in as the 8th place, one of the 3 X2s that made it, and Tom Sonique XO in the Swiss. So interesting matchup. I guess the fact that all of Tom Sonique's spells are kind of 2 spells to counter is probably good for him, and the fact that he's made a 2/2 and cast Ancestral Recall on turn 3 is probably also good. Looks like Honor Bound has an Ancestral Vision Exile, so everybody trying to cast Ancestral Recall here. Shackles.
Heard good things about that card.
Whoa! We commandeered a Shackles. Whoa! I mean, if you're going to cast Ancestral Recall repeatedly, put Commandeer in your deck. That's my advice. And Lelia is out, although it doesn't go truly nuts until you cast another Cascade spell. But a strong start. I don't know what there is to stabilize with on Honor Bound's side. I mean, he can certainly make a 4/3 or 4/4 Tempest Djinn or another Shackles or something, but it all seems a bit late into this big lady. I don't know. They only have 3 cards in hand now that they did that Commandeer thing, and the Shackles is not so good for Tom Sonique as it would be for... Oh, and here is an example of a thing they could do. They could steal Lelia, get their own little card advantage engine as well as an Ancestral Recall in their next upkeep. So an island would be amazing for Tom Sonique here because he could take his own Lelia back, but it seems pretty unlikely that he has one. Maybe digging for one here. I don't know how many islands there are in the whole deck. Probably not that many, given the 3 color requirement. Okay. So a couple of cards go to the bottom. Attack for 5.
Can we afford to attack here with Lelia?
Well, Leila only gets super big in this deck, right? In the mono blue deck, it's just going to get 1 bigger. But I know what you mean. Do you want to kind of trade for it or something? Okay, no, we're just going to kill it. Kill our own Leila, so be it. I don't know. I guess Honor Bound has the new Unsummon that can also hit vehicles, but is basically just Unsummon. And so that's the combo with Volatile Stormdrake. So potentially, the Volatile Stormdrake is coming back to hand at some point here. Yeah, this Shackles, I mean, we probably commandeered it mostly because we feared that we couldn't beat it rather than because we thought it was going to be crazy good for us. But it doesn't look super good here. It's not really going to take anything of Honor Bound. So there's only 2 islands in play. He doesn't have any like Delver type stuff. Offering the trade with a Stormdrake, presumably that's a big no, although Honor Bound is on 10 and Tom Sonique is on 19, so maybe no. Yeah, I mean, you're hoping to draw the Unsummon, or maybe you already have the Unsummon. 7 cards in hand for Honor Bound and the Straw Step, thanks to the Ancestral Vision. So both players got off an Ancestral Recall, but one of them then cast a Commandeer, costing them some of the cards. I mean, Honor Bound has to blink here because he's facing 5 power of creatures, but here is the Unsummon. Ever so slightly better Unsummon. Word of Undoing, outclassed now. Yeah, that resolves. I mean, there's not much instant speed interaction in the Cascade deck. It's more about just kind of spamming your things and hoping that drawing 10,000 cards and making a 22/22 is good enough or whatever. So Honor Bound with 6 cards in hand, presumably access to some kind of counter magic, Mana Leaks, Forbid, Spell Pierces, all in the main of this deck, I think. I certainly had a difficult time against Forbid with buyback with my combo deck. I did have a spell pierce in the game 3, but he had 5 mana. The old tricky way to get around spell pierce. Okay, so yeah, On a Bound actually thinks either he doesn't have great interaction or is happy to kind of just lay out a couple of really good flying threats and say, I don't think you can catch up here. I don't know. I mean, Tom Sonic's deck does crazy things if you let it spend 5 mana. Okay, so we're going for Bloodbraid Challenger. Reveals Laelia. So we can attack with the... Oh, we're attacking with everybody. So we're giving up the Laelia. Looks like an easy block on Laelia here. And then go to 1. But an island doesn't do it. You know, it doesn't allow you to swing back for lethal. There's 3 islands in play now. Should it be relevant? I don't think it's going to be. Not sure there's a creature with 3 or less power in On a Bound's deck once. Oh, the Volatile Stormdrake. But that would come over to Tom Sonic's side anyway. So 11 showing here. 5 cards in hand versus 3. Blocking the Bloodbraid Challenger and trading with it is not great, but it's obviously a lot better than dying. Shardless Agent is lethal. Might be everybody stays home, but of course it really depends on a Bound's hand. Maybe it's make 2 Tempest Djinns and put you to 2, or make 2 Tempest Djinns and put you to 7. Yeah, 5 cards to play with.
I wonder if, I was thinking the other Djinn, the Haughty Djinn.
Yes, yeah, that's not in this deck. So On a Bound prefers the steady progression of the Tempest Djinn over the spikiness and the cost reduction of the Haughty Djinn. Unless Haughty Djinn is not legal, but I'm pretty sure that it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Although I did run into main deck Graveyard Hate this tournament, so maybe that's also a hedge.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Tempest Djinn is just ever so slightly better, except for Haughty Djinn gives you a mana off all your spells, and that seems like, you know, something Tempest Djinn is not offering you. Okay, so On a Bound believes that he needs to poke Tom Sonic down so that he can present lethal next turn, and then Vidalcan Shackles. So this is interesting. So he effectively has 2 blockers here. So a hasty threat, you just take one of the things and you block both the things that are now attacking. So hasty threat, no good. Removal spell, also no good. But of course, a lot of these things allow you to continue playing Magic, unless you know, lethal power is surviving on a Bound's side. So if you just go to combat here, On a Bound probably just takes Bloodbraid Challenger, and then you're in a heck of a spot. If you had an island, you could take Bloodbraid Challenger back before declare attackers. Okay, so On a Bound happy to let him attack, I guess, blocking with Tempest Djinn on... Oh, interesting. So takes Bloodbraid Challenger. What's happening? Venser. Well, that's game, right? Remove the shackles or the Djinn.
I was just gonna ask if there was any reason to not do this before declare attackers, and I guess this was the reason to do that.
Yeah, well, so if he had done it on the Bloodbraid Challenger in beginning of combat, you can still Venser the thing, right? So it doesn't happen, and you still get to attack with your 2 guys and win. So I guess Venser was just the trump there.
Ah, right. Venser returns the shackles. Sorry.
Yeah. So the shackle's not the Djinn, I guess, because the shackles is a 2 creature swing, and the Djinn is just a 1 creature swing. If that makes any sense. Oh yeah. So we talk about this deck. Kind of, it's awkward because it can't play low drops to make its sort of engine work and blah blah. But at 4 mana, I guess it does have some instant speed interaction that you know, was good in extended. 7 block extended back in the day. It was good in Legacy once upon a time, maybe. Venser Shaper Savant. He's a pretty cool guy. So that Commandeer was interesting, maybe necessary to just stop Honorbound running away with it. It did look like it kind of put Tom Sonic down on resources quite a lot. But he did find a way. So still undefeated, maybe going to the semi-final. Pretty good. It's a crazy deck, you know? I mean, some of the things it does are pretty powerful. You know, I feel, yeah, I mean, Venser to me and Commandeer are pretty exciting sort of additions, or I don't know if they were ever in a previous version of it or what. I'm not sure what's been legal with what before. But it's that sense that, like, you mostly just kind of do a crazy value thing at sorcery speed and hope that you win. That puts me off it a bit. But if you've got Venser Commandeer, then spamming your ancestral recalls and your hasty attackers seems pretty cool. It's working. It's working today. Tom Sonic, bit of a brewer to say the least. Now, I am once again pondering whether these people are really sideboarding. Oh, they were. Great. Okay, so patience is the watchword. The game has come back to us.
So I'm looking at his deck in the Eternal League. Deck. So I see that the Venses are a new addition.
Are they? Yeah.
Sideboard is some broken wings that can deal with flyers. Those are probably in.
Yeah, that's still in the version that he's got here. He also has 4 Forbid in the side. I don't know if that's good here or not. I guess that's more for like combo. And you're just like... You probably don't want to fight the Spell Pierce deck with your Forbids, right? Although you can buy back to the nth degree with your infinite ancestral recall. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. There are 4 temples in this deck. And there are in fact 5 islands, and it is the only basic land. It's a real brew. The Horned Lockwells are probably fine. You know, tap out for a 3-drop and then have it haunt. Oh, here is one. Lagoon Breaching. So Honorbound is of the impression that he needs to, you know, get his threat down and ride it to victory. Definitely opening up a window here for Tom Sonic to do something. Yeah, and in fact tapping out entirely, so not even the possibility. So we're going to see Lelia or Shardless Agent here, presumably, or Chromehurst Seed Shark. So that seems pretty good. Honorbound has 2 of these Ancestral Vision on layaway, so he just wants to use resources. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I guess this is why we mana leaked before. Otherwise, putting it at the top would have been the line reading.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're trading off these 3/2s before any unsummon action can happen, and Honorbound pretty much out, but drawing 9 extra cards over the next 4 turns, all of which will make 1/1s. Oh no, it's 0. We'll make 0/0s. Yeah, so okay, so kill our own thing. So basically, Tom Sonic's primary mode in this game so far has been to blow up his own stuff. Okay, so Honorbound, pretty close to empty, but Ancestral Vision, when it comes off suspend, is great. So presumably going to make a land drop and either make a threat or have some interaction, or maybe both. Commandeer your Ancestral Vision. Commandeer your Ancestral Vision. Yes, I will change the targets. Ah! Well, I've never seen a matchup be so much about Ancestral Recall in Penny Dreadful before in my life. What bananas. Okay, so we are just running a Bloodbraid Challenger that can probably be stolen next turn out and casting another Ancestral Recall. Just 2 in that turn cycle. Just drew 7 cards in that turn cycle. Okay, so now the Shackles can take the Challenger, which presumably is desirable. I guess in declare blockers or something. No need to do it sooner than that, unless there's another hasty creature. This is crazy town. There is gonna be the third ancestral recall of the game in the next upkeep, if not now. Possibly now. It's now. Okay, so our third ancestral recall is going off. 1 card for Honor Bound, presumably not a counterspell. Okay, so here he can take the Challenger or the Agent. The Challenger seems just way better to take, so it is. 9 cards in hand for Tom Sonique. Presumably going to make their land drop and do something. I wonder if we can commandeer again. Oh no, we're not going to make our land drop. Despite having 9 cards in hand, or did we miss one earlier? Discarding 2. Discarding 2 see true. Okay, there will be no more ancestral recalls without the aid of Commandeer from Tom Sonique. I guess he probably doesn't have Commandeer if we discarded 2 useless blue cards, but I mean, maybe he has 2 more not so important blue cards that he can also exile. We are waiting for Tom Sonique.
We have drawn almost half.
It's Commandeer again. This is getting ridiculous. And there is a negate this time. So finally, the 4th ancestral recall of the game will go to Honor Bound and not to Tom Sonique. So that was a huge swing, that 1 remaining card was a negate, or that last draw step presumably was a negate. Just an absolutely massive swing. And in fact, Honor Bound possibly ahead. 2 shackles, has the best creature from a shackles, versus just a 2/2. But this personal howling mine might matter. Although, if we steal all the creatures and attack for at least 4, do we care that you've got a personal howling mine? Probably not. I don't know about post-board. Okay, so here's Lalia. Maybe just... I don't know. I mean, that's a hasty creature that you can steal with shackles. Well, there's Venser, who would have been awesome at some previous point, probably, but sucks now. So Tom Sonique looks dead on board to me. So these last 3 mana and these last 3 cards are going to have to do something. Otherwise, we just untap, steal Lalia, attack 8. And we're going to have an Ancestral Vision in our upkeep to find some interaction to back it up with. So probably we need to do whatever we're going to do now, and that is destroy one of the shackles. Okay. So now it's interesting. Honor Bound is certainly going to have 5 or 6 mana and 6 cards and a Vidalcan Shackles, which is a lot of resources to try and get these last 8 points across. Tom Sonique's hand is 2 non-lands. That's about all we know. The board is significantly better. Steal a guy, attack. Doesn't seem awful, but doesn't seem great either. Steal a guy, attack, back it up with 2 counterspells might just be good enough. Okay, so not aggressive. We're not wanting to be aggressive enough to steal one of the haste creatures now, but instead, why not steal it in the beginning of combat and kill you at my leisure kind of thing. Hard to imagine Honor Bound doesn't have some counter magic that will make whatever Tom Sonique tries to do pretty awkward.
Is the Howling Vine room open?
It's not, but it's 5 to activate, so I think if you activate that, you're just dead, aren't you? So do you offer the trade here? There's a lot of ways you die if you don't, and there's a lot of ways you die if you do. I guess offering the trade is higher risk in a sense. Okay, so Honor Bound happy to just attrition away all these things, would you cast? So we can now cast a Bloodbraid Challenger if we don't have anything better. Looks like we do have something better. Nope. An X-Spell? Something with hybrid? No. We are just casting Bloodbraid Challenger from the graveyard, hoping to cascade into something meaningful. We cascaded into Ill-Timed Explosion, which is, I guess, just a funky divination. And Honor Bound just denying some resources here. There's only 1 mana left. So Honor Bound again has the option to steal a hasty creature with the shackles and attack, or play it safe. So this time thinks it is worth making that move. 4 cards in hand, 5 mana available. The old post-shackle steal Serum Visions. Sometimes you just got to do it in that order. We've all been there. 1 top, 1 bottom with the Serum Visions. Comes in for more than half of Tom Sonic's life total. I'd be tempted to not block, but maybe, you know. What is the thing here? Like, I mean, it really depends what the interaction that Honor Bound has is, but it looks like it's probably 1 counterspell. So, suspends an Ancestral Vision, so only 2 mana. So it's mana leak or negate at best now. So maybe this is a window for Tom Sonic. Okay, so here's Lelia, which cannot be mana leaked. Presumably attacking. Oh, okay, so we're going for it. We smell weakness, and we're going to try and make our Lelia a... Well, I guess the cascade happens regardless, actually. So this is pretty crazy sick. How many triggers do we get? So it might not be interactable. That looks like it might be lethal. Oh, yeah. That is... So it's going to have to be the Unsummon from Honor Bound. Counter Magic, no good here. The Unsummon is not GG. But yeah, this is quite the move. I mean, it's the signature move in a way, apart from the Ancestral Recall stuff. This is the other thing that the deck does. And what has actually been...
Was this just a whole deck because we have used all our Seal of Truth? Looks like it, right?
I see 31 cards in library, and I see 31 counters on Lelia. So yeah, that was actually a known move, I guess. I'm a bit slow. So this is going to reveal something, which will not be useful. And presumably Honor Bound has some interaction. Ooh! So, beautiful move, but not enough to put the game away. And it reveals a Broken Wings, which Tom Sonic would dearly love to cast against the tapped out Honor Bound, whose best permanent is the Vidalcan Shackles, but no such luck. Probably jumping here. Did we put Lelia on top or on the bottom? Can we tell? Put it on the bottom. Okay. So we do not believe Lelia without the aid of a Shardless Agent is good enough, or we already have both those things in hand. Honor Bound does not main phase the Whale, which, you know, doesn't, I don't know, would be a pretty big sign of weakness, but might make it impossible for them to lose this turn. Okay, so we do have another Lelia, so that's why we put it on bottom. But this time, Honor Bound thinks it might be a good idea to counter it. Probably doesn't have a second Whale. Here's a Seed Shark. And we're all on pretty low resources here. Tom Sonic out of cards, out of red mana, because the Shivan Reefs cost a life. Can activate the Steaming Sauna, but currently looks like they have, well, they definitely have to jump block Bloodbraid Challenger. Not enough mana to cast the Whale end of turn. Another of an infinite number of ancestral recalls is ticking away, but the game will probably be over by then. Attack with Challenger. Could double block. Double block allows you to cast it from your graveyard if you find red mana, but without the red mana, that's pretty unappealing, I guess. What can it cascade into? Shardless Agent, Lelia, Venser, well, all kinds of things, I guess. Broken Wings. Yeah, it's not like the 3 costers that now cannot cascade into anything. Okay, so draws a pretty useless colorless land. Turns on the Sauna. Thinks about how to tap for this, probably. No, doesn't care. Now priced into chump blocking with... Oh no, just dead actually, because we can pass the whale end of turn, right? Unless we draw something, and that something has to be colorless now, with the way we've tapped. Okay. Pretty crazy game. But Onbound does tie it up. Those commandeers were interesting. Getting your commandeer negated is pretty terrible. But commandeering an ancestral recall is pretty alright. Worry ever so slightly about the punch here somehow. You know, if your thing is to make a 22/22 Lelia, then an unsummon is... I don't know, I mean, it was really Shackles that did so much work in that game. The Broken Wings, pretty good. On about 25 cards deep, we didn't see a Tempest Djinn, but it doesn't mean he sided them out necessarily, but it's interesting. So will Tom Sonic's 6-0 run move on to 7-0, or is he going to be stopped by 8th place on a bound? We're going to find out. 4 temples, 5 basic lands, all islands, 4 red-green slow lands. This is just like such a construction. has many cards that I would not have considered in it. And here it is, 6-0. Okay, so we drew a See the Truth, which Honorbound thinks is worth a Spell Pierce, even though it's not the Ancestral Recall version, it's just the Anticipate version. So no Ancestral Recall on Suspend is probably pretty relevant, but Honorbound with a counterspell for the first 2 plays. Presumably if you had... Okay, so here's the Tempest Djinn. They were not sided out, they were just hiding in game 2. So here we might Shardless Agent into an Ancestral Recall. We might Lelia, but we can't attack with Lelia, so it doesn't seem great. Could Furnace Room the Djinn to get it out of play. We're just going to bounce it main phase. So tempo plays. Just make sure you don't have a threat that you can kind of ride to victory. And instead must kind of mostly tap out again if you want that available. Venser, not a great target for the unsummon, not a super great target for the volatile Drake because it's got a worse body. So kind of probably still worth Shacklesing if it's the only creature in play. So it looks like we have a Bloodbraid Challenger. Just kind of put Honorbound to the test, put 2 spells on the stack. I once played the blue-blue-red counterspell that can counter 2 spells in UK Nationals or English Nationals. But I did do very badly, so I can't remember what it's called, but not available in mono blue anyway. Double something. Okay, what have we got? We've got a Stoic Sphinx. We're just going to eat the Venser, presumably, take 4. And now we've got a little bit of a race. 4 cards in hand for both players. A 4-3 versus a 5-3. The 5-3 does fly. Here's the Djinn back. 2 mana up. Implication we have a negate or a mana leak as our interaction. Bloodbraid Challenger pretty safe to attack here. Can't block the flyers. The Flyers are looking pretty darn lethal pretty soon, though. Can't currently sneak ill-timed explosion past a mana leak or a negate, so maybe just some kind of value play here. Shardless Agent, Lelia, something. If we have the room, we need to do it before we have less than 4 cards in hand. Okay, Broken Wings, trying to take out one of these guys with mana leak protection, but it was negate, or maybe both, in hand. So do we have a nice follow-up for 3 mana, Shardless Agent or Lelia? Lelia's not great here. Okay, so Seed Shark kind of looks wimpy into these 5 power flyers with higher than 2 toughness. And if this is a Shackles, could be the end of the tournament. So I suppose an ill-timed explosion is now cleared for takeoff. There are 3 left in the deck. We need to discard a 4, but there's a lot of those. So, you know, on a bound down to 1 card, he'd just have a 1/1 after an ill-timed explosion for 4. So really, that's got to be the best possible play here. These pain lands may come into it. We're down to 4 life. We don't have any life gain. Blue-red. Looks like maybe we do have it. Nope. We're just cascading. So this seems almost like an admission of defeat to me, but maybe we see the truth into a land and an ill-timed explosion and everything's going to be okay. I guess Bloodbraid Challenger attacks before we cast ill-timed explosion. A pause that says to me, I do not have an answer to the current board that is immediately obvious. It's really got to be the Wrath because there are 2 lethal flyers in play. Another Seed Shark is no good. I don't know what else is good, really. Nothing that we've seen. Looks like we do not have another land. Yeah, and we're just Shardless Agenting for hopeful, I don't know what's. Okay, so the 6-0 run into a quarterfinal loss there. Pretty close, pretty interesting matchup. Game 2 was pretty wild. Alright, and Tom Sonic gives the GGs on a bound into the semi-finals. Are any of our quarterfinals still going? Yeah, I see one. Let's bring it up. No, I'm joining a league game. That's less useful. Alright, let me bring this up for you guys. And Discord has decided it wants to hide this game from me. Did it just finish? I think it just finished. Curses. So Tigrak versus the Shuffler was going, but is no more, I think. Oh no, it is still going. Okay. So, bringing it up for you guys. I don't know why it just sort of forgot that I was watching it, but as you can see, I'm a technical wizard in this regard. There we go. Nice Shuffler and Tigrak. So, what have we got here? Oh. Tigrak has gone low with Hex Parasite to get a bunch of Nadu triggers, but has a really dominating looking board. The Ice Shuffler finds some crazy way to trade off Isamaru for Unctus. Oh, Ijango Castle preventing some of the damage there. doesn't look super competitive, although, you know, Samara is one of the better creatures, but it can just be blocked by this insect token, and any land makes another insect. So yeah, this looks pretty good for Tigrak. Let's get up the record and see where we're at. If well, in a series of interesting endeavours, Magic Online does not want to show me the chat, so I cannot ask it what the current record is, but probably game 3. Looks like the other Nadu deck, the Bant Nadu deck, has won its quarterfinal. So joining Mono Blue in the semi-finals, and the winner of this and the other game is still ongoing between that one gamer and the Shadow Maker, between Mono Blue and Yorzov. Yeah, and they're in game 3. And I can't ask this game whether they're in game 3 or not because Magic Online things. Tigrak a little low on time, but I think plenty of time to close out a game 3. Council's Judgment took out a Nadu, but there was a replacement Nadu. Tigrak is down to 2 here. So I guess used the Hex Parasite in response to the Council's Judgment, perhaps. Sorry, I was messing around with the other game. So this is a lethal Isamaru that can attack if it wants. There isn't lethal swingback, barring real shenanigans, although it's close. There's 8 power plus an unearthed Fate Stitcher available. Presumably Fauna Shaman can get something useful, maybe gain some life, maybe just a good blocker. See if Thigh Shuffler's last card is relevant. There's a Monumental Henge activation available. Minamo can untap Isamaru, but they've chosen not to do that. They've just made a Denic. So still fighting here. The only flyer is Nadu, but Denic is a 4/4 Ward 1 lifelink. That also says cards in graveyards can't be target spells or abilities. I don't think that matters to Fate Stitcher. Ditching a birds. Trying to find, well, choosing to find having a big think about it. So this 4/4 lifelinker is a problem, but I guess you can just get whatever the biggest. Okay, he gets a Fate Stitcher, so maybe planning to chump it once and then start tapping it, or maybe hoping to combo. In fact, that's maybe a bit more likely. Next turn, discard Fate Stitcher, grab Unctus, cast Unctus, combo off, Laboratory Maniac, win. Yeah, so all you need to do is survive, which currently looks like a double jump. So something like, well, I guess Sylvan Scapekeeper can give you a guy Shroud. So the double jump is on. Maybe you attack, force the double jump, and then you have some removal spell for Nadu or Fauna Shaman. Fauna Shaman may be more important at this point. Okay, so asking for the double jump, certainly. Tigrak has something. The something is Arachnogenesis, which will prevent the life gain from Denic. Mean that all this stuff happening here with Senu and the creatures attacking doesn't matter. And presumably we can untap, Fauna Shaman away our Fate Stitcher, unearth both our Fate Stitchers, cast an Unctus. Do we have enough mana for all this? I think so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 mana. Fauna Shaman activation is 1. The 2 Fate Stitchers kind of 1 total. Unctus 3. So it looks like we do, but at the end of it we'll have to have 3 untapped lands enter so we can cast the Laboratory Maniac, although that seems like it would certainly happen over the course of looting through the whole library. I guess the Fate Stitchers only trigger the Nardu ability the first 2 times they target each other. After that they're just looting. So maybe there's a mana crunch here that matters. There are, however, quite a few blockers. On the Nardu side. So maybe it's fine to just make Unctus and pass the turn. Oh, Sinu flies. Ah, but the spiders have reach. So this might be more about time than anything else. Tigeract 2 minutes 20 on the clock. Opponent has a lifelinker, so kind of Narduing in for the victories, and a flyer. So Narduing in for the victory is not going to happen. Okay, and just passing the turn having grabbed the Unctus. So, needs to block 4. Oh, Pippin can give protection from creatures. So Life Shuffler definitely has the option here to give something protection from creatures, untap Pippin with Minimo, give something else protection from creatures, and say you have to have basically Arachnogenesis or bust here. Or yeah, maybe just Denic is fine until they blink. You know, there's an instant speed, untap Pippin, give Denic protection from something else available here. So really Arachnogenesis that we already saw one of. Okay, and they do have it, which makes their previous turn's behavior make an incredible amount of sense. Now there's 3, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11 power over there and 2 Fate Stitch activations. So in fact, for time-saving purposes, looks like maybe the win is unearth 2 Fate Stitchers. I don't know, because Minamo can untap something, and you certainly can't allow the life gain from Denic. It's an interesting spot. Okay, so we are unearthing both Fate Stitchers. Are we trying to combo, or are we just trying to attack for 8? Because I don't think we have the time to combo. Although I guess you can have your Nardo activations and just get some more cards. A Savage Swipe is pretty good here. You know, go to Savage Swipe something. If you try to protect with Pippin, tap it, they don't care that it lives. Or Savage Swipe Pippin, force you to make your decision about what you're going to do with Pippin. A lot of options here, but only 60 seconds to find the win. So going with tapping one of the blockers. Paying the ward. 58 seconds. I don't know if I've ever seen Minamo look so good. I don't know if I've ever seen Minamo, for that matter, but... okay, and in fact these Fate Stitchers, because there's... No, yeah, once you use them on something other than each other, they're kind of used up for the turn. So there's only one Fate Stitcher activation left. And you kind of have to wait until they blink with the Minamo before you use it. So if they attack now, block the Fauna Shaman, take 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's not enough. Not enough. So kind of need that Isamaru tapped. If you tap the Isamaru, Minamo can untap the lifelinker, and that's so much worse then. So it looks like a loss on timeout here. Oh, the Fate Stitcher? No, the Fate Stitcher does not get in. Can we possibly get another turn with F6? It doesn't seem likely. 15 seconds. So we are going to go for Minamo, looks like. which is possibly a mistake, seeing as we're not dead to this attack. And we might be dead. Yeah, so untapment, but now the Fate Stitcher taps Dennick. Pay the ward, 9 seconds. But this, I think, is now not a lethal attack, and the swing back is lethal, even if we play the Unctus. Just block something with 2 power. And pretty sure that's game. 7 seconds, yeah. Probably the Nadu player had the resources here. Well, I mean, obviously they could have comboed if they had infinite time. So yeah, it was really the time. Pressure the Unctus in hand, no good. Wait. Oh. I'm very bad at math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, they were on 8, not 11. Well, pretty good stuff from Tigrak, who's a lot better at Magic than me. 7 seconds on the clock, goes into the semi-final. So we have 2 Nadus in the semi-final. Let's see if the other match is still going. When were they on 11? Anyway, whatever. Been a long day. Okay, so it looks like the semi-finals are all... The quarterfinals are all over.